इसको बंद करो तो ये यात्रा वाला.
Yeah, a very good evening and warm welcome to all the participants. We are starting the third lecture series as part of the Impact lecture series for which we are doing for the Foundation Day commemorating. Already our guest for the day, Vice Chancellor retired Professor Srivatsan has already joined. We'll just start the deliberation in about 1 or 2 minutes. Yes. Thank you, Professor Srivatsan, for joining. Hope you are able to see. Okay. I hope I am audible clearly to all. Am I? Hello? I think you are under mute, sir. Yeah.
I can listen to you.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Okay, good. So good to see you all, and let us get going so that we'll not waste time. People will be joining. Fine. So this is the third event, or what we call the Impact Lecture Series today, and we are doing it on a very, very vital theme. As you all know that after 26 long years, the country has recently revised the education policy, and a new education policy has come in. And as you know, it has got still a lot of implementation issues which we need to sort out, and a very vital topic at the time when our country is reforming and enterprises are going digital, and cities are becoming smart and so on. What is that education should at the end of the day deliver? The UN's policy on education talks about education for the coming decades need to be of so much relevance, so much so that it says that it should imbibe in people for them to be and to know, to do, and to live. So in just about 4 coined words, the UN report on education says that it should bring in the element enough of educative content so that people will, the students should do everything to know, to do, to live, and to be. The to be part of it, as we all know, is the personality development part of education and so on. So much is the things at stake, and it is in such a vital topic that we are going to discuss today, and we have a very, very able education leader in Professor K.R. Srivatsan, who is basically from the IIT system. Was the professor of electrical engineering in IIT. I'll be giving a detailed introduction of him at the later stage. And then he had been to a lot of leadership initiatives in the sphere of education, being a vice chancellor, and then being the first director of IIIT and management of Trivandrum, and so on. So I'll take you through all this. Before going to that, I would request our director, Mr. Sarosh Kumar, to invite the guest of the day for this particular impact series, Professor K.R. Srivatsan. And over to you, Mr. Sarosh Kumar.
Thank you, Dr. Kishan Kumar. Good evening, Professor K.R. Srivatsan. It's really a great opportunity. Actually, I'll just give a background how we are fortunate to have you with us. Actually, this 4th foundation day of this great institute, State Bank of Institute of Leadership, and that we are commemorating the lecture series. And in the scheme of things, when we have designed the events, that time Dean and myself, we have come out with a variety. It's a wide spectrum of issues we have put it in our platters. Like in the morning, we have had a discussion on special leadership, leadership managed in unforeseen situations and the unforeseen crisis. After that, there was a special conversation with the circle CGM. Now, again, all relevant topics we have gone. And in the scheme of things, now the educational policy, definitely it is also another area which has also come into being, that has also put in this. But before that, since we are sharing with you, I'll just give a brief so far as SBIL is concerned. This is a strategic leadership institute specifically designed by the competent authority of SBI. And they have thought it ahead of the time. Actually, the basic idea is to give training inputs, and groom the future leaders in BFSI sector for top and senior. It's not confined to SBI only. It has plethora of it takes care of other institute and financial institute. In this context, like Professor Mr. Dean Krishna Kumar and there are other faculties, they are also being in the scheme of things. So SBI has thought in a different manner, and in this context, in the present position, the pandemic and placement, we have thought in a different manner, whether it's a fourth foundation or earlier also. We have tried to connect with the entire society in a wide spectrum of subjects as well as the eminent people. We wanted to ensure this platform so that people are going to connect with a wider variety and they'll get an opportunity. Now, when you are going to deliberate, obviously there will be so many takeaways to the person so that they are going to be benefited. That is in this basic idea in this present position when there is a traveling is a ban, physical contact is a ban. This technology platform and the knowledge which is available with us, this we are going to take it in a furthermore. Here the topic which has been chosen, that is also very relevant and this definitely is going to have a wider impact after your deliberation and people are going to have definitely a better knowledge in this presentation. Basically, the education policy which has been envisaged is a broad-based, multidisciplinary, holistic under the graduate program with a flexible curricula, plus creative combination of subject, integration of vocational education, multiple entries and exit points with appropriate certification. That is the basic preamble kind of thing. But having said this, the idea they have thought of the gross enrollment ratio of higher education, they want to raise it to 50% by 2035. So 3.5 crores is to be added to in a higher education. New policy also aims for universalization of the education from preschool to secondary level school with 100% gross enrollment ratio in schools by 2030. Similarly, by 2000, they will also bring 2 crores out of school children back to the mainstream through open schooling system. The current 10 plus 2 system is to be replaced by 5 plus 3 plus 3 plus 4 curricular structure. Teaching up to the at least grade 5 to be in mother tongue and regional language. No language will be imposed to any students. So many things are there, but these are the basic parameters which per common man or we have come across. But having said this, now there are certain vulnerabilities which is also coming to the fore is that like no focus on funding infrastructure evaluating body in the new policy. So similarly, English is optional till class 8. In global scenario, need for English language is paramount, but till 8, then they have made it optional. Furthermore, the Kothari Commission has shared and recommended the minimum 6% allocation way back in 1964. Still, our current spending is 3% of the GDP. All these things are hovering around, all these things are there, and who can be the best to share the thoughts and way forward than yourself. So this is because of this topic has been chosen and you have been there to share with your thoughts and the ideas, and it would be really immense value for us to take it forward. Now we'll go to Dr. Kishan Kumar so that the necessary things you can navigate the future. Thank you.
Thanks, Saroj Kumar, and thank you that I'll thought I'll just introduce formally the guest by telling his profile and before handing over the platform to him. Professor K.S. Srivatsan, in his today's speech, though we have captioned it as implementation challenges in the new education policy, we have subsequently on discussion tweaked it a bit, and we will be more discussing about NEP 2020 and approaches to achieve quality and inclusion in higher education. So you are far more aptly has worded the theme, and that is the deliberation you'll be making. You'll be making, in fact, a presentation, so the joinees can benefit from that. Professor K. is currently senior fellow at the Odisha's State Open University. Is currently mentoring also the Jharkhand Educational Grid. These are all much after his retirement. He has assignments he has taken up, but primarily for a long time he started his education as he's a BE from NIT Durgapur, MTech from IIT Kanpur, PhD from University Canada, And then all in electrical engineering, and he happened to join as a faculty member in electrical engineering in IIT Kanpur and became a full professor in IIT Kanpur. And thereafter, for long years of service in the electrical engineering department, many of you would know that before computer science, it was majorly the electrical engineering people that who had been doing many of the computer related networks and so on. So, and then came many of the computerization kind of initiatives, and he was the first director of triple IT Trivandrum. Triple IT and Management Trivandrum, and then he became the Pro Vice Chancellor of Indira Gandhi National Open University. After that, in fact, I was lucky enough to work with him also. He was my senior colleague in the Chennai Institute of Technology. We worked together there for about 1.5, 2 years. And then he was actually a visiting professor to, that was the time IIT Bhubaneswar was coming up, and he was a visiting professor there. Then again, he had roles in Centurion universities, and now after that, he is doing his role as a senior fellow with Odisha State Open University. It is not just that he has been only been serving as a professor in many of these institutions. He has done so much of contribution in terms of the development that he could do with commissioning labs for on CAD/CAM for DRDO or Aeronautical Development Agency. There is a lot of programs he has done for the agriculture part of it. In fact, one of his brainchild was the Krishi Deepam program, and he was the Triple IT and Management Director, which is even now running as a big serial in the channels. So much of technology incubator related work and mentoring related work. He was board member of Technopark. He was board member of Kerala State Higher Education Council. In very many leadership positions he has occupied in the higher education space, in the task forces and so on, district education. Many things in a jiffy. I would say that has been his forte, and no better person to deliberate on the new education policy which the country has revised after such a long time. And I'm sure he will give us a wonderful ideation of how he sees this particular implementation aspects as far as the new education policy is concerned, with a view to achieve quality and inclusion. Over to you, Vice Chancellor, sir, Professor Sivatsan. Thank you.
Okay. Can I have my, sorry, can I have my presentation on, or shall I try to put it on from here?
Whichever you can do that. I think in that case, you'll be able to control it also as per time.
Please tell me it is visible. Is it visible?
Yeah, it is visible, sir. You can put it in the PowerPoint mode. Right now, it is in the.
I have put it in PDF. It's okay, I suppose.
Yeah.
Okay. I can even put it in. I hope it works this way. Yeah.
It's great.
Right. Okay. Fine.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm just checking it out. Okay. Well, thanks for the nice introduction, Professor Krishna Kumar and Professor Suresh Kumar, for the welcome address. Well, somebody asked me, what is your career? I had a very simple answer. I started soldering electronics with vacuum tube and then have gone beyond YouTube. That is my career. In fact, I was part of introducing or bringing internet to India and spreading it in India in the 1980s, when nobody knew what was internet. And we did many programs. In fact, I was one of the founding members of NPTEL, which is now the world's largest online courses site, and at least several lakhs of students are registered in it. So we have done many things, but my journey I may say I'm more an engineer among academicians than conventional type of academicians, building things and showing how to do things and empowering people to achieve things, whatever the subject may be, including agriculture. There are some works I have done in healthcare and so on, power distribution automation. And now I am interested in something called community cluster enterprises for rural development, which is part of my Odisha State Open University and Jharkhand area. There are plenty of possibilities. Only thing is, I miss my students very much after retirement. So now let me come to the topic. Okay, sorry. It was a phone interference. Okay, let me come to the topic. I'm just slightly modifying the title, Implementation Challenges and Modernization of Higher Education, because one of the problem with any policy of the kind like National Education Policy 2020, that's what it is, the new title, is concerned. It's very always top down, in the sense the government tells what it wishes to do through the policy, and it never tells how it is going to do it. It may allocate budget, grants, and restructure the governing bodies, regulatory bodies, and all. But what about the bottom up strategy? How do ultimately it has to be performed by academicians, the institutions, colleges, universities, and so on. And there is no real guidance whatsoever on how we are going to restructure this. So my focus will be on how we are going to restructure in a way that assures quality. In the process, it will also sort of cater to the inclusion and may be relevant in the coming times, because this pandemic has thrown many assumptions about every human activity to several challenges, and how are we going to address a modernized education system. Another problem now is we are no longer going to study and in fact under one college or other. It's possible that we take courses across multiple institutions with credit transfers, and you have a solid degree from a very recognized and reputed authority. All these are going to be major challenges. The world is as a whole groping in this. And so since my time is short and the topic is too vast, we can take any one aspect and speak for 1 hour at least. There are at least 10, 20 different aspects in NEP. I'm going to focus on higher education. As was already stated by our director SBIL, the gross enrollment ratio, there is an ambition to go from 26.3%. Since independence, almost 73 years, we have just done 26%. And now they want to go 50% by 2035. But is there only way to think like this? Why can't we just say, if anybody wants to study, please come, and we welcome the student to study? Can we not create an environment like that? It is possible today, thanks to online and various other modes. And even if a student does not get a seat in a college, there may be flexible modes of using evening labs and other things, whereby we can easily double the number of seats without any problem. But we are not yet bureaucratically or administratively equipped to manage this. I'm sure the students will be ready. You will find enough teachers, provided we create a system for grooming teachers and supporting the teachers. I'm going to show how we can do some of those things. So now it talks about holistic UG education with flexible curriculum. Now, most universities are so rigid, they can't introduce any flexibility in even managing a single course. They only go by controller of exam, university admissions or college admissions, and then the whole thing becomes coaching, more or less coaching for university mass examinations across colleges. I'll come to that point a little later. Now they want academic bank of credits. Now what should be the principles behind these things? In fact, I'm going to show an instrument by which we can create this and discontinue MPhil. That's of course for goes for research, but it has to be substituted by something else which is integral to research. You can't just bureaucratically, we may say you may dispense with the MPhil, but grooming research scholars is not that simple. So we need some mechanism. Set up multidisciplinary education and research universities on par with IITs. Already we have created one central university in every state, and yet we are not seeing the quality coming up there. So there is even NITs have to rise up in quality much more. So there is a lot of issues on how we are going to manage quality. There is going to be an apex body called National Research Foundation to boost research. In fact, much of the problems arose actually was rooted in 1950s when we separated CSIR from, the Council of Scientific from the universities. One of the first observations of the great C.V. Raman, the Nobel laureate, was that he was blaming the Prime Minister for dissociating the research funds from the universities by creating CSIR. And India was very poor at that time. We could not have afforded. So the CSIR was not with students. And the bright scientists of CSIR did not get the opportunity. And the bright researchers in the universities are not able to get the research facility. So we created dichotomies like this in many shades, which has affected our education. One need not have boundaries, administrative boundaries with different councils and commissions. Too much of bureaucratic fragmentation in our system, and that has killed it. And so we have to overcome a lot. Slowly things are happening, but not fast enough. Now, in the second slide of the summary, there is going to be, from the bureaucratic sense, a Higher Education Commission of India, or HECI, that will replace UGC and AICTE. While this is easily done at the bureaucratic level, but doesn't change fundamentally how things work. So it will have 4 verticals instead of now earlier different UGC, AICTE, and so on. There's a National Higher Education Regulatory Council. There is a General Education Council for setting standards. Again, who will set standards? You can't set it from bureaucracy. It has to come from the academicians. That is not clear. Note that IITs became IITs because they were not interfered. They had to do it themselves. And and in fact, even if you talk about the online classes, etc., it all began from IITs through the NPTEL. So it did not come from the government diktats. Okay, so it is only when academicians put their heart in it, things can happen. Then Higher Education Grants Council, which is just one of the functions of existing UGC, and National Accreditation Council, which may merge NBA, NAAC, I do not know how it is going to be done. And then affiliation of colleges phased out over 15 years. But we are talking about this in time, probably where the affiliation can be given a better meaning. So that is not even imagined in the policy. For example, the present affiliate college system, I'll just briefly show it a little later, become either autonomous or a university college. But today, no college is an island. Everybody is connected over the internet, and right now they can share courses, teachers also, and so on. You can have a less experienced teacher, an associate teacher, with another college teacher who is experienced as a teacher for both colleges. All kinds of possibilities exist. So now the universities which are affiliating universities should consider it as an empowerment mechanism or institutional mechanism to support the colleges. I am going to show how we can build such empowered ways of conducting courses, which is to the advantage of everybody. Okay. Now we talk about a National Education Technology Education Forum for Ideas Exchange. In my view, earlier we had some initiative to, some portals were called for putting national content in everything, and so that is not going to work. So now and then there is some foreign university campuses, etc., etc. But we have forgotten our own inner strength that is available. Let us see how we can build our own day. So now our system is, why is it weak? Let's just take a very brief look at it. NEP is a top-down directive. There is no bottom-up strategy yet. It is yet to be developed. And if you look, there are 2 issues that drag down. I'm going to focus only on higher education. School and elementary, primary education is a vast world of another kind. We will focus on higher education, which is also important for SBIL. The first thing is, higher education is dominated by the affiliating university colleges system. Almost 85% of students are studying in these colleges and not in the premier institutions like IITs, NITs, etc. So maximum attention need to produce. In fact, I always say we need to have a slogan: quality education to all, independent of geography. After all, education can now pour like rain from the internet cloud. What is the problem? And why can't we think of quality assurance in the assessment feedback system, and so that we can assure quality in education? So courses are conducted more like coaching rather than imparting learning. Learning requires engagement of the students in learning activities, which is peer. There is a peer supervision of that. And that kind of an environment we are not bringing. Of course, it happens in premier institutions like IITs, maybe ISER and so on, IIMs, where the teacher has all the authority to do whatever they want. In IIT Kanpur, no teacher is ever questioned on how they teach or what they teach. Even if they violate the syllabus, there is no problem, no curriculum. It is what the teacher teaches, and it is the teacher's responsibility to assess the students. And of course, there is a lot of feedback that goes on. We all give time every week, certain hours dedicated for the students in the class to come to our table and discuss in our office and so on. Okay. Now, imparting learning in modern subjects needs digital and hands-on learning engagements now. These have to be codified. It's very important. Digital opportunity is actually leveraged to enhance the quality of education. So then we can assure what Swami Vivekananda said. We want that education by which character is formed, strength of mind increased, intellect expanded, and by which one can stand on one's own feet. I think very few statement I have ever seen in the world beats this in terms of objectives of education. Now let's go to the next. Now I'm going to posit three essential principles which can form the basis of a bottom-up strategy in managing quality in education. Any graduate program, 3-year program like BSc, BA, BCom, or it is a 4-year program like BTech. And today, the new education policy also states many degrees will have to become 4 years with multiple exits at the lower years and so on. So, first thing is, courses have to be conducted to achieve outcome-based education. That means each course stipulates certain course objective. By the end of the course, the student should be capable of solving or addressing, modeling, applying the kind of knowledge and related skills, use of advanced tools like software tools, etc., if necessary, to solve and address real world problems. Something like that kind of objective has to be stated in the course, and how students demonstrably and measurably achieve this objective should be part of the course objective. And how do we do these assessments? Obviously, if in a mass exam, it's okay for like entrance test and all that. But mass exam for courses doesn't make sense. Okay, and unfortunately, that is what is going on in the affiliating university system. The second thing, principle. So first thing is OBE, which I call outcome-based education. We should bring it in courses. I'm going to focus more on that in the coming subsequent slides. The second one is the graduate attribute profile, which is declared in the Washington Accord, which is the kind of benchmark for STEM courses, that is science, technology, engineering, and management courses, mathematics courses, which is globally the maximum in demand in terms of highly skilled workers. Whether it is artificial intelligence, data science, everything is now in the STEM sector, as we call it. And so the graduate, in case we are not in the tech STEM sector, like commerce, arts and all that, we can define our own scholar attribute profile for such courses. And our goal is that in the 3 years, 4 years of education the student undergoes, with the suite of courses and other learning engagements, like internship, projects and term papers or whatever we want to do, include that, they should achieve this attribute profile of the scholar. We can have one lecture on each of these topics. So at the moment, I will restrict myself to outcome-based education. There is a third principle, which clearly is a concept which is necessary and often insisted upon by Professor Paul Goodman of Carnegie Mellon, who unfortunately passed away about 3 years ago. He was a co-founder of NPTEL from Carnegie Mellon University through IIT Madras collaboration. And we had lots of discussion. He wrote a book, and I want this book to be definitely in the library and reading of people in SBIL. It is called Organizational Learning Contract. The title of the book itself is Organizational Learning Contract. So you can buy it from Amazon or whatever it is. Please make sure you go through it, particularly when SBIL wants to become a leader in the education. You will get a lot of ideas from this particular book by Professor Paul Goodman. What Professor Paul Goodman says is that the learning contract is a declaration of what learning takes place, why this learning is imparted, when this learning will be given, which semester, what timing, etc. where it will be done. It may happen in an internship, it may be happening in the classroom, whatever it is, or in the lab, and how it will be imparted. All these should be very clearly highlighted so that the students have an appreciation of what they are getting into when they take a course or a suite of courses. There can be a streamed electives and so on. For example, can SBIL put up streamed elective which will tell these organizational learning contract for which they can cross credit with a premier institution like an IIM or any school of management of some eminence, and then together they can offer a specialized degree in banking and financial services sector. These kind of things are possible today. So let us further go in view of the restricted time. The first thing is to assure outcome-based education. I will focus on this three, 4 slides. Now, we want the affiliating university to sort of empower and supervise the achievement of OBE in the affiliated colleges. So we will take the collaboration, this opportunity of affiliated colleges not as an administrative entity to regulate the exams and the admissions, but to empower the teachers in the colleges to achieve outcome-based education. And what we are planning, in fact, this is what I am trying to tell Jharkhand government and Jharkhand higher education, technical education department, that you please, beyond the curriculum which you have for a course, prepare what I call pedagogically aligned executable lesson plans, where in the lesson plan we will have activities stipulated which will have to be performed by students and the teacher concerned with facilities if required, whether it is a software facility, lab facility, or visit, internship, whatever it is. How the course will be conducted should be very clearly delineated, where it will be a sequence of activities that I call as a PELP or pedagogically aligned executable lesson plan. Every word in that is loaded. Okay, so now it clearly states course objectives, instructional objectives in each lesson, the sequence of learning engagements of the students, and how they will be guided through all this. Okay, this has to be prepared, and this preparation is today become even more necessary because this kind of activity will shape the way we shape the online learning environment, like a Moodle learning management system or any platform that you use. How are you going to shape it? Merely putting as only a content and distribution or online testing is undermining the capabilities of the, or rather using in a suboptimal level the learning management system itself. Okay, with the PELP, one can do that and make this online learning environment a really empowering environment. Okay, then formative and summative assessments must be spelled out. That is itself, how do we design that is a big challenge. Okay, so essentially the lesson plan PELP assures that we walk the talk in courses that we conduct to achieve course objectives, and it guides the and managing the digital learning engagements also, in addition to other learning engagements. Now, you are going to be very rich in various specialized areas of data sciences. Now, how are you going to create digital learning engagements there? So those can be part of the course itself. Okay, next one. Now, okay. Now, yes. Okay, next one. Yeah. Okay. Now, the digital learning and tech. Now, the question is, how are you going to use this lesson plan, shaping the digital learning, and then what I call as technology augmented learning and course management, particularly in the colleges. So this is actually the work I am trying to do in Jharkhand Education Grid, where tomorrow I have a meeting with 7 vice chancellors of all the affiliating universities of Jharkhand, essentially to give a shape. And now the good thing is, it is now academicians who are doing the design, which is what I am very happy about that. Okay, so it's a common framework for establishing equivalence of course across different modes of course delivery. You can say this course may be delivered online, may be delivered through the classroom, but there is some kind of equivalence is necessary. Even online courses require, or even if you are using MOOC type of courses, there also you can have this. Now, there may be many modes like online open distance learning, like my State Open University, using MOOC, supported by LMS, etc. The equivalence of these courses can be established if you have the corresponding executable lesson plans or PELP. So you can design it according to mode of course delivery and how we are going to engage the students. Okay, common to all this is what I call technology augmented learning and course management. I call it TALCOM for short. Now this is the picture I am giving of TALCOM. It's a complex picture. There are, oh sorry. Okay. Now, first thing is the university appoints subject matter experts. These are all pertaining to one course only. Okay, for each course you will have a diagram. Like this diagram implemented. So subject is in the case of Jharkhand, I am asking each VC to nominate 3 subject matter experienced teachers, so to say, to be the constituting the course experts group. They design the lesson plan, which I was mentioning, executable lesson plan. And this elliptical area is the where the universities publish it online, the lesson plan. And then, of course, it takes links to any required closed content like a software maybe, or it may be an open content from the web or NPTEL or any site, MIT Open Courseware or Open Education Resources. So the first life cycle there I have is course design and lesson plan development. This has to be taking place first. Once the lesson plan is developed, we put it in this elliptical area, a learning management system exclusively for teachers. Teachers, suppose this course is taught in 50 colleges. Now all the 50 teachers in the colleges will use the learning management system to interact with the subject matter experts so that they get live support when they teach the course. So these 50 teachers are in a closed group, and that is why I call it lesson and course support life cycle, which you can read in the figure. And each college has its own teachers, resource persons for the course, and its own learning management system, which is on the lower right. So so each college manages its own class manager. It does the class management each. Okay. So together with all these 3 life cycles, as I call it, or management support cycles, you may call it, the students in all the colleges get their education under the affiliating university. This way, we are not disturbing anything. We are just empowering the teachers, and the teachers across also are collaborating so that the more experienced teacher can be actually used as a subject matter expert also. So it's a very neat way of doing it. And this environment is what I am trying to establish with the Jharkhand education grid. The whole concept, I call it as a education grid, although I have not named it so. Now we'll quickly come to the concluding part. First, so I have mentioned the 3 life cycles here: course and lesson plan development life cycle. It is supervised by the university through the lesson plan, which is approved by the Board of Studies, Academic Council. So it's a formal system. Then course support network for teachers and class management in each college. These are all 3 levels of these activities. So we set up, we openly publish the executable lesson plan so that outside world can come in and add. So here is a sort of diagram for the kind of inputs that will go into the lesson plan. Here the number 5 on the left is S, which I call this student, is seeing the instructional objectives for the lesson, takes the instruction delivery that can be from the class, from online videos, it may be from a open education resource, or like that. There are multiple modes of instruction delivery depending on the methodology you use. Then you have various LAs. LAs are lesson related activities, lesson activities, online activities, offline activities. Those are performed, and they also undergo a kind of short self-test. The self-test is a kind of feedback that provides the student whether they have understood the concept or they got the thing. And so these provide the lesson activities may be supervised in the class also, like demonstrations. So with all this, the student gets proper feedback. And with the feedback, the student can understand how much of the objective they are able to achieve. So now, of course, some of the tests will be summative assessment and whatever exams you have. So the output, the right side is an exit path for the concluding the course. So this kind of a thing, how the sequencing of these things should happen is put in the executable lesson plans. So you can easily create lesson plans for your own courses. I won't say it is easy, but definitely you can structure it using these concepts. Okay. So here is a structure I am giving. Here, week 1, week 2, various lesson number title. You recall prerequisite knowledge, give links to the students so that they can refresh the prerequisite requirements. Maybe previous class, it may be another course earlier done and so on. And then a short online optional self-test and the prerequisite knowledge and so on. Okay, now the supplementary act. So this is a second column which is here is very important because that is mandatory. These activities have to be performed. The third column is a bonus column for which I call supplementary activities, posing challenges to curious students, how it is idea taught is applied in real world in the industry, or preparing for competitive exams like GATE and so on. You do whatever you want. So this way, the lesson plan actually completes the requirements of the learner. We have average learner, weak learners, bright learners, all of them are catered to. And through the learning management platform, one can track the progress through the online self-test and so on. So we have a complete monitoring of every student by the teacher at what level they are, what difficulties they are, and how to resolve their learning deficiency and so on. Okay, so now I'm just giving one slide on how SBIL may leverage on this opportunity from the new education policy. Now, NEP allows multi-institutional programs now. So we have to have some MOUs with appropriate institutions. Maybe across the Kolkata, you have Jadavpur University, or there is West Bengal Judicial University, or whatever it is for law-related areas and so on. So finance-related laws, you can have specialization courses. So it all depends on your choice of BFS. So you can have these 12 courses in the BFS subjects, justify credits. Now, having the pedagogically, the PELP as I call lesson plan, is that it justifies the credit. How much credit are we giving? That is very well justified in that. Then use some online platform. In our colleges, we are going to use Moodle because it's a very robust and open source, free, and there is no difficulty with anybody using that. So SBIL associates with premier institutions to make its course credits recognized. So you can provide a streamed elective to management students. The streamed elective may be 2-3 courses from SBIL. Whatever fees you charge, you share between the other participating. So now you have got management graduates or your own officers doing executive MBS, doing the management school courses plus your courses. This way you create great career path for various BFS sector officers. I'm sure not only SBI, various other organizations in the BFS sector will also benefit. Their officers will also benefit from a career path. So this will, in fact, you can create various opportunities through certain MOUs and assurance of credits assurance and so on. Okay, so now premier institution may offer degrees like executive MBS, other value adding courses. So now they have got now today with data science coming in a big way in every sector, and finance sector is one of the biggest users of that. I mean, having specialization in this area becomes very important. So such postgraduate degree will enhance their career. Now let us just quickly wind up. Now I just want to give one idea on the graduate attribute profile. Basically, it requires good mix of humanities, social science, modern tools like some kind of education should be integrated in a 3-year or 4-year degree program. Then it is a complete degree program, not just only narrowly doing some courses in isolation from each other. So so courses conducted with outcome-based learning, which is what we just mentioned, and then ensure that concepts, modeling, and skills learned in the course are brought together to develop solutions. So engage them in some projects and other activities where they will bring these ideas together to apply it in a real world problem. So using GAP provides students of colleges flexibility to graduate in different streams now with that flexibility, because now I think the 4 or 5 day, I mean the departments may be organized in various ways, but the degree programs can be much more than the number of departments, which is happening in IIT Kanpur, for example, where we were there. We have 16 interdisciplinary centers which offer postgraduate programs in addition to the departments. within IIT Kanpur, like Center for Laser Technology, Center for Nuclear Sciences, Center for Biological Sciences. All these are offering degrees in IIT Kanpur. So we have already done this in many years ago, in many ways. Okay, the third principle of organizational learning contract, please do get the book and go through it. You will find a lot of insights on how to groom SBIL. In fact, it talks about one old established management school, how it is a school in United States, and the Singapore Management School, which came much more recently, on how they shaped everything through the organizational learning contract principles. So it will be a very big help for you. It was initiated by Paul Goodman, who was also a co-founder of NPTEL. As I already mentioned, it talks about why, where, what, when, and how students learn. These learning may be not in the regular course, it may be in project activities, it may be in cultural entertainment, other kind of activities also. So you understand how to give a learning ambience to the course, to the students in the program. So teacher and instruction team with support from institute resources oversee the OLC. So the three principles: outcome-based OBE, outcome-based education, the graduate attribute profile, organizational learning contract, together must shape great programs. If you do that, we will be world class, absolutely no doubt. But merely addressing bureaucratic or administrative type of matters is not going to get us much anywhere near world class. Okay, but these fundamental principles need to be respected. Okay, now I just briefly mentioned Jharkhand Education Grid and close. It is basically to introduce Talcom, the model I was talking about, the technology augmented learning, in every course under affiliating university. Because it will take a long time to build, aims at holistic and disciplined virtual learning environment, upon which the regular classes will be conducted, so that the digital learning becomes disciplined learning also. Otherwise, digital learning is a sort of, it's a messy area because there's too much of flexibility available. Each college may be doing something in different ways. That is not a great thing for a program which is happening under one university across colleges. In fact, if there are good teachers, good infrastructure in the college, at least in online learning support, for course wise you can give autonomy, or even that is possible. You need not think about college autonomy only. Where colleges are weak, you can conduct certain universities supported programs. Where colleges are strong, you can give autonomy to those programs or those courses. We can think flexible. You need not think whole college is autonomous. I mean, there are several ways you can let established areas which are autonomous and add new areas as they groom. Okay, so now let us see. Sorry. Now, so it's a collaborative. So my Talcom is my Jharkhand Education Grid. What I am saying is the state will have a center for digital learning. It's a postgraduate center like IUCA Pune, Inter-University Center for Astronomy and Astrophysics. We will have a center for digital learning. But this will be shared by all the universities and institutions, colleges of Jharkhand. So there the faculty can visit here, they can advance their degrees, they will provide related to education. Because almost all our Indian universities don't have schools of education. This is a shocking phenomenon even till date. So now this will bridge that gap. I think every state will need this. So it's just on the verge of getting approved. I know the file is today is in the Chief Minister's table, and hopefully once that is recognized, they're done. We have already started the activities, but the funding is yet to be approved. More by peer collaboration of the universities, this is happening now. But pretty soon, another 3-4 months, in spite of COVID, in fact, or because of COVID, it may happen faster. Okay, that is also possible. Okay, now let us conclude. Okay. Yes. So I just conclude by a quotation from Jerome Bruner, one of the greatest educationists who shaped the America school education. He says, how we teach is far more important than what we teach, in the following sentence. For a choice of pedagogy inevitably communicates a conception of the learning process and the learner. Pedagogy is never innocent. It is a medium that carries its own message. So it is how we teach that is far more important than what we teach. And the how we teach, India is very weak, particularly in the affiliate college systems. Okay, some thoughts. A good education must nurture the right kind of intuition and values to be inculcated in the learner and practiced by the teacher and system. Number two, pedagogy practice should be integrated with values and character to be inculcated in the learner. Implicitly, these are in the graduate attribute profile, but we should keep this spirit in the center of our thinking. It is not outside. It is difficult to achieve this center. But without this being in our subconscious or the background of our conscious thinking, structuring education is a very not a great thing. Okay, with this is my last slide. So I must say this is my slogan. Together, everyone achieves more. Is team. I always keep this slide as my last slide. So thanks for giving the opportunity to share some ideas. I know some of these slides will require its own lecture, but that is on another occasion. Okay, thanks, and let us have the interactive session. Thanks. Volume. Mike.
Now, I hope I'm audible now.
Yes, you are audible.
Yeah, thank you, Brother Srivatsal, for the wonderful exposition you did on outcome-based education and how the new education policy tries to drive many of such initiatives of gross enrollment ratio going up and quality being ensured and so on. And you could bring in the focus of how pedagogies need to be in the crux of it. How we educate is much more important than what we educate, and so on. And you have in fact given a big framework itself, and how through the PELP model as to how the lesson plans and pedagogies need to be integrated, and how ultimately it can help in course equivalency formations and so on. And a good collaborative model can also work under telecom. And we were also highly impressed by your thought-provoking, ideation on how SBIL can also, or any of our training systems. You may not perhaps know that SBI has got about 57 training institutions in the entire fold. In fact, 6 of it have apex, level training institutions verticalized into leadership, credit and risk management, consumer banking, and so on, rural banking, and so on. So, as you correctly said, if at all, now that the new education policy allows us to take it, allows multi-institutional programs and interdisciplinary programs to come in, it is in our, goodness of things that we can collaborate with universities and, come out with programs relevant to the skill sets that are required in the market, wherein the expertise and experience of the functionaries or practitioners can also be used. So nice of you for exposing us to that, and obviously good to have taken note of the graduate attribute profiles or attribute principle. We will definitely pursue that book and further get enlightened as to how it has to come to the centric of it. Thank you for your wonderful deliberation. And a few questions was also there that I thought I'll flag, because as, at the time of registrations itself, we were been receiving a few questions. So the one question which everybody asks when it talks about gross enrollment ratio. Should the gross enrollment ratio be the only parameter by which we judge, higher educational attainments is one they ask. Because countries like Korea, countries like, those are skill-driven countries where the outputs are much high than, people carrying around a paper called a degree, but ultimately becoming unemployable. Somewhere along, we have understood it a bit wrong, and the way we have defined the GER itself is having a trouble, and that has been getting pointed out by more and more people, and because many of those other countries, including Korea, which has got, like our Aadhaar card or some such thing, the moment a baby or somebody is born, his skill sets are getting the school final and after that into college, and how the skill attributes keep adding to the profile of the individual, and that is what is available to the corporates and who MSMEs or whoever wants to employ them, and they have a verified mechanism of skill, certified mechanism of skill inventory, which are getting mapped and then accordingly processed. But unfortunately, India is nowhere near that kind of a thinking. We still feel that degree, is just kind of only knowledge based, coming out by rote methods. Students pass exams and, the mass examination, which you have just pointed out. So is there a different thinking that is required in the way we have defined many of these things as well?
Well, I think the universities need to open up. They should not. They should replace the controller of examination, and there is some usually an internal quality assurance cell. They put them all together into some dean of quality education or something like that. Under that, we start empowering the teachers in colleges as the teachers, and we can have proficiency certification of teachers in this model. In fact, as a teacher teaches a course, concurrently he can take a test in the proficiency also. So you need not do a separate course on, because we are going to test on how he is going to, she or he is going to approach the learning situations, context, etc. So teachers can be, the same system can be used. After all, as I said, the university will have an online learning system exclusively for the teachers. So the teachers, experienced teachers can, so you can take an oral exam. In fact, oral exam often tells much more than say the written exams, because we know, and we can give guidance to the teacher. Here are the gaps, and please do these activities to overcome the deficiencies. So ultimately, the experienced teachers now guide the younger teachers. So we need to groom lots and lots of competent teachers, which is the present system is actually militating against that. Okay, which is not a good thing for India. That is one. The other one is, the other side of the story is, if you take countries like Korea, they have something like a passbook system, if I understand. In the passbook system, you can credit courses from different institutions and choose your own. Now, the new policy allows that, the new education policy. So why not we explore this opportunity? And for example, a student can specialize in VLSI design, because India has a major VLSI design center for Intel, NVIDIA, and so on and so forth. And why not we build on our strength? But we must institutionalize the educational support system for getting the jobs in this and attracting, and so that we become top chip designers in the world. We don't have foundries, but we are designing chips. Our own students, our own graduates are doing it, but we have to institutionalize and build much more on that. If defense wants custom ICs which are free from other kind of junk software, we are capable. We design chips, we could not manufacture them. That doesn't matter, because there are silicon foundries across the world where we can go to and get those things done. Okay, I think that we have to think differently, basically, to remove the shackles in our mind. The shackles are more in our mind, and I'm talking the institutional mindset rather than this. If you overcome the shackle, that is one possibility. Another thing is, as I said, quality education independent of geography is now possibility, at least in several areas. What about fine arts, performing arts? And there are lots of agriculture is related industry. Agriculture is not only for food security. It also gives textiles. It's a feeding material. Now the packaging will have to be replaced from the plastic to renewable or natural eco-friendly packaging, which again the agriculture will support, like the jute and other kind of fiber plants. What about construction industry, which is going to also build? So agriculture is going to become a very big area. And now the recent agriculture reform actually is imagining such a future, that these people are only narrowly looking at food security as the agriculture, which is not right. Because today with renewable energy, renewable resources, etc., agriculture will take central capability in many inputs to many industries. In fact, DuPont has a system by which a corn is converted to the plastic panel, the ABB plastic or something like that, in your cars. Okay, that is possible to create polymer bases from agricultural produce. So there are many ways, many innovations can take place. I think we have neglected thinking in interdisciplinary ways, which has been a major problem. We separated agriculture from agricultural technology, and which in turn is affecting that we can't produce machineries in India in many areas. I think we have to think more and more interdisciplinary and try to create institutions or industries. Which why not academic institution own industry as a satellite? Like IIT Madras has now a research park. There are many companies with academicians in IIT Madras are doing good productive work. Industry is also finding the cost of research there is less than if they own it themselves. Now there are emerging areas like quantum computing, which is going to explode within 2 years. That's my estimate. Now, why are we not preparing our mindset to such new opportunities? Anyway, I can go on and on. I think it's better. At least I have given some 2-3 points in this.
Understood, sir. So, and one more question what we have is that, some of these people from education industry, they are asking that education is a state subject and whatever our NEP is articulating, when somewhere along any friction happens when try to implement an NEP for the entire country, since many states have their own views and, somewhere we are at loggerheads. So what is your view on this?
Well, unfortunately, even though they are state subjects, the states have done very little to promote even their own languages. I can't go online and learn Kannada whenever I want. I'm just giving an example. I would love to, because I have to settle in Bangalore, maybe, or otherwise also, or I have to do business in Bangalore. The point is, or Mysore or whatever, we are not thinking. I think government control on education should go, but government can give direct certain vision guidance that we want to promote this kind of growth. For example, our performing arts should become more visible. So you education people do that. I mean, that kind of request is meaningful, but trying to control it through the whatever school board or other board and all has become a disaster. Okay. I think we have. You look at the Sarva Shiksha Abhiyan, they bought computer, but without any electricity in the schools, in the villages, etc. What is the point? People are doing things through bureaucracy. I mean, I know every Sarva Shiksha Abhiyan in the state is having a state IAS officer or some junior officer, and whose main role is to manage the tender vendor contract in that. I know such people also. I mean, some of them were my own ex-students in the IAS. Okay, I mean, the tragedy you can see, we have completely messed up the autonomy of education. Education system should be autonomous but accountable to the national development needs. What are those development needs? Yes, the government can say and also support it with funds or policies. I think we have to first liberate the education sector from the government, and even the national education policy is not explicit about it.
Okay. Regarding the funding of education, the RUSA was formed earlier as part of a, reform initiative, and in the new scheme of things, when the fourth tier, sort of funding a new institution NEP is talking about, will the RUSA's function be taken over by that, or how is the scheme of things visualized?
Well, at the moment, RUSA has offices in every state, as far as I know. In fact, I work with RUSA Jharkhand to start this digital learning. Because RUSA is neutral to all universities, but it was focusing only on infrastructure in government institutions, the universities and government-aided institutions. The funds were given from a central pool of 100,000 crore. They distributed to states, which is a very small money if you look at it. But it never bothered about the academic side.
Okay.
It's only on infrastructure.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. But in RUSA Jharkhand, I am changing it. The Jharkhand Center for Digital Learning will be broadly satellite or sort of the academic center of RUSA. That is the way I am envisaging, which completely changes the nature of RUSA. Because now we can solicit investments in academics, which is also as important. I mean, what is the use if we don't have competent teachers? I mean, and also shackle the good teachers by forcing them to coach. Both ways, we are shackling good teachers. We are not grooming new teachers. Both ways, this is what state governments have been achieving. So we have to sort of awaken the state government through discussion and show alternatives.
Okay.
Because Jharkhand government solicited my advice, I could propose this model. And now they are enthusiastically accepting. Tomorrow I have the meeting with all the vice chancellors online. At least now they are understanding this is something worthwhile.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, the last question, sir. This is regarding, now that the new education policy also talks about allowing a lot of foreign universities to set shops in India, and already a few of them were there, but those were, as part of their capital structures and all, it was quite heavy, so only perhaps a Harvard or some such institution could have only afforded it. Harvard is already there in our backyard and with a center in Bombay and things like that. But with the kind of new focus that is to allow the international universities and other people also to enter India, do you mean to say that perhaps there is a last citadel for internationalization because a lot of other sectors in India has already gone, whether it is telecom or banking or insurance, they are open to international participation long back, and perhaps even defense, we are talking about it now, and education perhaps the last citadel. And how do you think that the current move by in the NEP will have a competitive? Will it have a competitive element in terms of the way they would structure it, their offerings, and so on? And if that be the case, what will be the change that you envisage in the next, say, 4 or 5 years?
Let me put it the other way around. What made the government think like that? That is because something like 50,000 crores is spent by parents every year in educating the, at least at the graduate or postgraduate level, in United States or Canada or Australia or such countries. Now they are trying to tell bright Indian students or students who are really seeking some career path, why not have those universities here? Ultimately they are not going to come for charity or anything like that. They are going to come for with a certain positive business proposition, and so that is one way of looking at it. Another way of looking at it, why can't we have collaborations? Like you have collaboration with London School of Economics, certain department there, and then improve the SBIL so that it has a global image. I think the latter will be easier for you to accept also. Merely, and if London School of Economics sets up something here, in what way it is going to compete with Delhi School of Economics? Because the cost differences are very vast. The only example we have is the IBS in Hyderabad, International Management School. But that is also very expensive and very few. Numbers are such tiny numbers. So it is not going to make any big impact in India. So I am rather feel that they are not going to easily come. But one opportunity we can explore. Countries like Japan or others, they are looking for opportunity, and they are not English-speaking countries. So one may be able to use a Japanese brand, deliver it in English, and attract international students there also. That's possible. I do not know. I have like Germany, France. Leading international languages in French also, Spanish. So if you talk about French, Spanish, English, and make it available, a lot of countries will participate. So you can try to internationalize and bringing their own institutions, giving them an English flavor here. Can be here. I think we should explore those opportunities where India will also groom into good business with them. And there are many countries speaking these languages. So there will be a big advantage. Chinese is another language. I'm not talking about mainland China only. What about so many other countries where there is a substantial Chinese population? But China is well served, if you look at it, with good universities in Taiwan, Hong Kong, Singapore and all. So it is not any major issue. But definitely promoting our work in Spanish-speaking countries, French-speaking countries will make us truly a global power. I feel one should look at education as India emerging as a global power. Try to align these thinking along with those directions. It is not otherwise they will treat it like a business proposition. For example, right now COVID is changing the game. Is there going to be an emerging opportunity that Ohio State University would like to have a division in India so that our Indian students are kept here and making them study with their own online methods? So in certain courses, definitely it is possible. Where data science and anything that is possible online, virtual environment with augmented reality, virtual reality. In fact, I feel medical education can vastly improve by such collaboration because virtual reality, remote robotics, all these are going to play a big role. Think of advancing India's education opportunities in these directions with international collaborations. Maybe they themselves will set it up and they will bring international students there. Because our own universities are very poor. Indians have not been able to relate to outside students that well in their own campuses. We are not culturally that mixing time. It's not. When we go to United States, we adapt to that country. But when others come to our country, it's not easy for them to understand Indian culture. For Indians, of course, the world is a open game.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for the wonderful deliberation and also clarifying many of the thought-provoking questions put forth by our participants. So,
I can see OTS Nambiar, our colleague.
yes, yes.
Say hello to him. He's not on the video, so I just want to share and say my namaskar to Nambiar Saab.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. And wonderful deliberation. I'm sure that all the people, because we were also on live in both Facebook as well as in YouTube of the bank, and which has got a whole lot of followers. So thank you for giving us a wonderful insight on the theme of approaches to achieve quality and inclusion in higher education, and definite that it would have had wonderful takeaways for all the listeners. I will definitely try to connect again as and when it is possible. Thank you.
So let us continue to imagine the future of SBIL also.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yes.
Okay. We are a very small entity. We are only, stepping up in the fourth year, and we will be having we'll be starting many things from the clean slate is the biggest advantage we have. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
You can create big online space.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you.
Okay, thanks. Thank you.
Yeah, for all the participants, you can leave your feedbacks in the chat box. OTG is there, sir, for you to see.
Yes. How are you?
Okay, so we have all worked together in one place. That is how President is. Thank you for the good bonhomie. And our speakers are mute. OTG, you are on mute.
Hearing your microphone.
You are on mute, OTG. You have to unmute yourself.
Can I hear now?
Yeah.
Thank you, sir, very much. I wanted to congratulate you for the excellent presentation. Actually, very, very enlightening. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, Professor, and thank you, OTSG, for the wonderful expression. For all the other participants who could tune in today, if you please leave your feedbacks in the chat box, what you felt about the program. And as I always say, if you have any other topical themes to be brought forth, we are ready to run future deliberations and conferences based on that. And it's also to inform you that tomorrow also we have, in fact, these are all days leading up to our foundation day, and in fact our actual foundation day is tomorrow. We have a few programs lined up from the first session at 12:30 itself. We have a speaker, Dr. Stephen Cochrane, who is the APAC head of Moody's Analytics, talking on global economic challenges in the present context. It will be from 12:30 to 1:30 p.m., followed by another post lunch 2:30 to 3:30 p.m. another program by Professor Rishikesh Krishnan, who is a new director who has joined in IIM Bangalore. He will be deliberating on Atmanirbhar Bharat, role of innovation and competitiveness. And then, because there is a timing issue at around 5:30, there is a gap in between in this program, so you will not get bored that way. At 5:30 to 6:30 in the evening, we have a wonderful international speaker again coming in to speak on health leadership during pandemics. Dr. Derek, President and FSW New York and the former cabinet director of WHO. So like that, we have 3 programs being lined up. So I would request the participants to tune in as they please for these programs tomorrow. Thank you. Thank you.
Please send us the link.
Definitely.
Things.
Yeah.
To tell Professor Rishikesh Krishnan was a student in my time at IIT Kanpur. And I know his father also was a very famous antenna man, electromagnetics person. So, right. See you.
Such a small world. Thank you, sir. Thank you, brother.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Shall we leave?
Yeah.